I recall driving in Palo Alto in this car back in, it would be the late 60s. And a girl who might have been a Stanford student, I don't know, came roaring up alongside in a Volvo. And she says, BMW 507, the most beautiful car in the world, she said.
Begonnen hat das Projekt für mich mit einem Brief.
For me, the project began with a letter I received from Jackie Jouret, an American journalist in San Francisco. She had been sent the letter by a man named Jack Castor, in which he told her he was the owner of the 507 that once belonged to Elvis Presley.
Ist das, der mal Elvis gehört hat.
Also, wir wissen, dass Elvis das Auto mitgenommen hat.
We know that Elvis had taken the car with him when he ended his military service in Germany, in Heidelberg. We also know that the car changed owners in 1964 and that Castor bought it in 1968 for $3,500.
Für $3.500.
We then blew up a few pictures, which showed the leather covering around the horn button and the D-plate on the rear bumper, which also stands out very clearly. Those were some of the features of the car that made us think this was, beyond all doubt, Elvis's car.
Und dann kam es eben zu dieser.
We decided we needed to go out to the USA. We flew to San Francisco, and the first thing we did was drop by on Jackie. Of course, she knew we would then be going on to see Jack after we'd left her place. Sure enough, the next day we drove from San Francisco to Half Moon Bay, where Jack lived, and where we expected to find the 507. But the car wasn't there. Instead, it was elsewhere, in a wooden farm building of some kind, that turned out to be the pumpkin barn. They were actually processing pumpkins there.
Tatsächlich also Kürbisse verarbeitet wurden.
So we got talking to Jack and eventually asked him, how exactly did you get your hands on the 507? And he replied, actually, I didn't really want the car I ended up with. I only found out later, after looking into its history, that this was Presley's car, the car Hans Stuck had raced, the famous Elvis car. Back then, all I wanted was a donor car for my blue 507 because parts were so difficult to get hold of. Anyway, the car was missing its BMW engine. Jack had his eye on a V8, he said. It was pretty much a done deal. I could remember how the story went from there. He said, and now I need a couple of mirrors. He'd got in touch with someone, and if he could just get his hands on those two mirrors, that would pretty much round it all off. Jack was a dreamer and a fanatical collector. He'd built up this huge stockpile of cars, but never had the money to restore them. His pride lay just in owning them.
Und was auch klar wurde, wir waren da für das Elvis-Auto.
We were there for the Elvis car, but it was clear that this was never one Jack actually really wanted. Its backstory was just a neat little extra. From the start, this was the 507 of Falkenhausen and Stuck, the one that had famously been entered in races, but that was also used for promotional purposes. He wanted to get it back on the road again. He wanted to drive it. That was his goal. We chatted with him for a while, then popped the question, Jack, what shall we do? What about this for a plan? We'll restore both cars for you. You keep one of the cars, not the Elvis one, the other one, which also has a good history, here in the USA. And the other one will be put on display with your name under it at BMW. And anytime you're in Germany, you can drive it and enjoy it. We didn't have to wait long for the reply. That sounds great. Do it. With the restoration, we set ourselves the goal from the outset of doing the work as well as possible, to the very highest standard. So after we detached the body from the frame and underbody structure, we stripped the paint off it in a dip tank and examined what we were left with. There wasn't much of the trunk floor still intact, and the front wheel arches had to be partially replaced. And then, of course, we had to rebuild the cross member at the front of the frame because it was pretty rotten and had been partly cut out to make way for a big block V8. Then we took a standard BMW V8 engine and upgraded it to 507 specification. In other words, we built a 507 engine. We were really very careful to focus on everything, down to the smallest details.
Wir haben dann das Fahrzeug dann auch wirklich, wie es haben wollte.
Then we painted the car how Jack really wanted it, in this shade of white. Legend has it that Elvis had the 507, which was originally white, repainted red. In fairly amateur fashion, it's fair to say. Because at night, groups of his female fans would descend on the car and daub kisses and hearts all over it. He wanted to put a stop to all that, so decided to have it painted red. I think it was important to add Jack's wishes to the history of the car. He wanted it to be white. And maybe in 10, 20, 30 years, when someone asks, why didn't you restore the car to how Elvis had it? We can tell them this story.
Jack wollte es so und deswegen haben wir es auch so gemacht.
Jack wanted it this way, so that was how we did it. You'd have to say he took his time finding a restorer for the car, from 1968 to 2014 to be precise. But when he found the right one, there was no doubt in his mind. And I have to say that I'm proud he chose to give the car to us to restore. So now we have a Falkenhausen car, a Stuck car, an Elvis car, a Jack car, the presentation car. There's so much history packed into this 507, so much reflected in it, so much we can tell people about it. I think it's also the aura of a car like this that sets it apart.
Ist auch die Aura, die so ein Auto dann am Schluss auch ausmacht.
So we're also doing something people will be interested in. And I absolutely see that as one of the jobs we're here to do.
Now, if I were interested in money only, I'd be making a mistake in turning this car over to BMW. But I want to see it restored. I want to see people have the opportunity to see the car. And that's more important to me than me making a few $1 million.